Great about college football when you have rivalry games like this. A little bit about last week's game before we get into going on Colorado State. I thought it was an outstanding performance by our defense against a challenging offense. And beyond the point total, coming up with the takeaway certainly was, I thought, the key element in the football game. Guys played with a great deal of energy. We were able to come through the game with no injuries. I think this is the healthiest it's been, that we have been. Our workload numbers measured off catapult were low, so our guys played at a high level, so we're going to be pretty fresh coming into this ball game. We'll need to be fresh. So outstanding performance by some of the defensive players. Thought Andrew Wingert played one of his best games. Carl Granderson played exceptional. Johanna had a big impact in the ball game as well. He's been hurt, and he was able to come out and play. And I thought our receivers caught the ball well. Josh put the ball where it needed to be in that second quarter, and receivers came up with some big plays. So we're certainly pleased with that. And I thought Josh continues to make progress moving our offense forward. Within the kicking game, we knew going in their punter is an outstanding punter, and he did what we thought that he would do. But on the other side, I thought our coverage units were good, and I thought that Tim Zielinski punted the ball well. So overall, a really good win, a convincing win against a conference opponent who's a good program. On to Colorado State. They're an excellent football team. They're a senior-laden football team. Coach Bohl has done a great job with them. Anytime you look at a football program, a lot of times you start at quarterback, and Stevens is playing really well for them. He's throwing the ball well. Obviously, they have some weapons, not only with a senior-laden offensive line, but a 1-2 punch with Dawkins and Matthews at running back. The receiver, Gallup's an outstanding receiver. And their numbers back it up. They're averaging close to 500 yards a game, I think 499. They're really good on third down, and they control the football. So, great opportunity, a big challenge for us. We're excited about playing at home, and a lot to play for, not only with conference standings, with where they're at, but also for the bronze boot. So at this time, any questions anybody might have?
How much of obviously it's a big transition from going against an option-oriented offense to CSU's that you said has a lot of weapons. Just how big of a transition is that, and what's the biggest challenges from basically going from one degree to the next as far as what you're facing offensively?
It's a big challenge. Defensive football has certain principles that are going to apply every week. You have to get off blocks, you have to tackle, but schematics and how the ball is distributed changed drastically, and how the offensive linemen run block and pass block, and then the different schemes that you're confronted with. What does help is the fact that their offense has some similarities to our offense. It's a pro-style offense where they operate with tight ends and fullbacks and quarterback under center at times. And so the work that we did in fall camp, the work that we did during spring football certainly helps. However, there's some different nuances. This is a prolific offense, and we're going to be challenged to slow it down.
Seemed like, just follow up, that Air Force was able to pressure Stevens, even if they didn't sack him, got around him, and I imagine that's a key in any time a team that can throw it. Is that going to be a fairly big key or Saturday to at least to pressure him, at least get around him and make him uncomfortable?
I think you're spot on. Anytime that you can take a quarterback out of their comfort zone, get a couple hurries. To credit Stevens, he hasn't been sacked a lot, and I think a lot of that is Coach Bohl was a quarterback. He coached quarterbacks. I think he's done a great job mentoring him. Stevens gets rid of the football. He places it different places, so therefore he doesn't take a lot of sacks. Not that he hasn't had some pressure on him. He's just getting the ball, cutting the ball loose.
Coach, seemed like the offense took a step forward last week, but obviously also, put in some pretty good situations by those turnovers. How do you kind of make sure they don't stay content, just considering, you didn't have to drive the field all that much?
Well, that starts with our coaches. Coach Vegan is a very capable offensive coordinator, and recognizes we put up a lot of points, but we were operating on a short field. And the week prior to that, we didn't have those takeaways, and the field was longer, and as a result, our point total was down. We need to stay hungry. I think you're seeing some things emerge within our offense. Certainly our ability to throw and catch. I thought our receivers made some plays, even from the first play when James Price went up and caught a contested ball. That was encouraging. We're running the ball a little bit better. It'll be important for us to take another step forward, but any thought of being complacent, I don't think is there. I can tell you within our offensive staff, they're grinding away right now as we speak.
Last week, you didn't really have much of an offensive identity, it seemed, and this week you do almost. How would you describe that offensive identity, especially with 5 receivers with 15-plus yards?
You talking about our team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought we made a step forward when I saw our receivers this morning at breakfast. I mentioned that to them. I thought they're a maturing group, an emerging group, I should say, and it was encouraging for them to go up and make plays when they were, like I said, sometimes contested, whether it was John O'Qualley, certainly James Price made some catches. I thought Austin Ford did some good things, and so and I'm probably leaving some names out there. Austin Conway, it was encouraging to see. And so what we cannot do, though, is say, okay, Josh has got an excellent arm. All we'll do is just throw the ball, chuck it 70 times a game. We need to be able to run the football.
You mentioned Gallup, but I think he's leading the nation in yards per game now, and it's been very good since he's been here. But what makes him stand out? Is it speed? Is it ball skills? What makes him stand out? Is he compared to anyone that you've either coached against or had?
Well, he's going to be in National Football League. I can tell you that. Here's what I see, Robert. You see somebody who's sturdy, 6'1", about 200 pounds, and he's strong. So when he comes off the line, he's got excellent explosion, but you're not dealing with a slight guy that just runs fast. He uses his body well. He's able to go up and make contested catches. He runs well after the catch. He's strong. He's physical, and he's playing with a great deal of, I don't know what the term would be, but it's almost like he and Stevens know each other before something's even going to happen. And so that combination has really been productive, and it's going to be a challenge for us to slow that down. To say we're going to eliminate that, I don't think we can do that, but to try to limit the number of big plays and the number of catches is going to be important.
Coach, last year, this game against the Rams, just how significant was that win for you guys going forward to do that at the beginning of conference play and coming off that tough Eastern loss?
It seems like many years ago. We're into this year, but it was an important win. We had come off a close game and to go to Fort Collins, and we have a trophy case downstairs, and that thing had been empty since I'd been our head coach. Where the boot was supposed to be, and it's a prized possession, and to win a game like this is really important. There's all kinds of implications. Typically, you've seen Colorado State being one of the more noted teams in the mountainside, and so for us to win last year was important, and it's going to be a big challenge and a great opportunity this week.
What have you gathered about just the history of this rivalry? It's it goes back a long time, and just what is your feel of just how important this rivalry is to fans, to the program, the university? Just what's your take on that?
The very first group, and probably the group that I pay attention to more than any other group, is our former players. And to our former players, this is a big ball game, which makes it a big game for us. And it's interesting when you talk to the former CSU players, the older players, this is the game that they focus on. And so we recognize we're playing for more than just what our football team is. The first group that we're always sensitive to is those former players who played back in the 50s and the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. And it's a big game. I also think it's a big game for the people in our state. We have one school in our state, and so for us to show well and play against Colorado State is important. And so I can say this is it would be a whole lot easier for me as a head football coach if I didn't like Coach Bobo. But I'm not saying he's one of my closest friends in this profession, but I have a great deal of respect for Coach Bobo and their coaches and how they run their program. And so that makes this a healthy rivalry. I've been on the other side when you don't have that, but I think these are things that are good for college football, and our fans embrace it, and I know it's going to create a lot of excitement.
Coach, you talked about their offense. What about CSU's defense? What have you guys kind of seen from them?
Well, they've operated in several different fronts, and that poses some problems for us. They're a blitzing defense. They tackle well. I think the Air Force game, and I went through that with a fine-tooth comb, is a little bit different from the standpoint of the Air Force's offense. Structurally, you're going to line with your guys differently, but I saw them really go out and challenge Air Force, and that's a tough offense to deal with. And you saw them when they played other offenses that are more conventional like us. I think they get very aggressive.
Coach, is there any chance of getting either Alonzo or Ryan back this week, or are they both for sure out?
I've got to be guarded about my comments on Ryan. I can tell you the information that I've been given is he will not be available. I would say that it would be probable that we'll have Alonzo, and maybe even more than probable, we'll know a lot more tonight. And then that'll determine what we do, whether he plays or not. But it's, we had a meeting at 6 o'clock this morning with our sports medicine staff, and they were, I would say, hopeful that Alonzo is going to be in good shape this week.
I'm not trying to get into specifics,
Okay,
Brian, but
then don't.
Is he doing better? Is he still hospitalized?
Ryan?
Yeah, still hospitalized.
I think he's doing. Yeah, he seems fine to me. It's up to the coach. Coach should play him, but we got other people saying he can't go. So that's why we have. It's even outside sports medicine. Let's just put it that way. Way above my pay grade.
You mentioned you might get Alonzo back, but Brink stepped in, and he stepped in last year. I know you had a chance to look at the film. Were you pleased with that? And what are just your thoughts of having a guy like that can kind of plug in and get the job done?
We appreciate Brink. He went in and he played, and we were able to move the football. It wasn't like there was a big red flag out there. We got Brink in, and he can't hold up. Brink did a nice job, and so we'll take a look between Alonzo and Brink. One of those two guys are going to be playing. I can tell you, if Alonzo's 100%, he's moving around well, he will play.
Coach, I believe you guys lead the nation right now in turnovers forced, and it seems like there's this trend of those turnover trophies or whatever you call them, the things on the sideline. Is that kind of not really your guys' style too much, I'm guessing?
Not doing that.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. But what is going to happen, I mean, that's not by chance. We are leading the country in takeaways, which we focus on, and we're also leading the country in turnover margin. And that's, I've always felt like the most important statistic. If you look at the games we've won, we've usually fared well. And I don't think we need a trophy to get our guys going after the football. Other schools may, that's fine. I also think that there's a direct correlation. The more ability you have out there, the more confident and the more aggressive guys play, the more times you get the ball. I mean, there's more hats around the football. Guys are flying around. They're more disruptive. We got a group of defensive players that are out there playing Mach 1, and there's a frenzy that they're playing with, and it's showing. And it was neat to see. And I think New Mexico, there was a couple that seemed, okay, they just gave us something. But there was other ones that, I thought Carl's interception on the screen pass, he made a play. I mean, they're trying to throw a hide screen over the top of him. He's 6'6" with really long arms and can jump really well. And that was a great play by him. And I thought Dewey's interception was outstanding. Tyler Hall's interception was great. So we're going to keep on forcing that. No belts.
Coach, Nicole Auerbach with
Yes.
the All-American. Nice to see you.
You bet.
So when you were talking earlier in your opening statement about Josh and the offense moving forward, how have you seen him personally in his game move forward this season?
Well, what he's done, he's continuing to make progress. We fashion our offense with the weapons that we have, and every year is a new year, and there was an exodus of everybody who touched the football last year, even the center. And so it's been really encouraging to see how Josh has said, all right, whatever weapons we have and whatever I can do, I'm going to do that, which means if I need to run the ball on some predetermined runs, I'm going to do that. If it means taking care of the football and throwing the ball away when nobody's open, I'm going to do that to make sure that we have that turnover margin in our favor. If it means we have a breakdown in protection and he gets hit, that he's going to get right back up. He's been a great student of the game, and he's been a great leader, and he's an ultra-competitive guy. Now, I'd like to maybe reel him back a little bit when he takes off and runs 99 yards and has an 8-yard gain, and he jumps and he lands on his head. Probably can maybe reel him back a little bit doing that. But that's where our football team is at right now. He's going to do whatever he can to help us win. And it's been really encouraging. I think a lot of our other players feed off that because there's been so much written about him, so much speculation, how many millions you're going to make, and you're going to be a first-round quarterback, and NFL quarterbacks don't do this or that. He's doing whatever he has to do to help us win.